people, if they're not documented, who have no insurance, who are ineligible for unemployment, and in short, are basically treated like expendable workers rather than essential workers. And hopefully, between the state and the federal government, there'll be some recognition that people who work and put bread on the table and, clean our buildings and, build the buildings and serve in the grocery stores and the back rooms of Home Depot, that these are essential to the functioning of our economy. These people deserve all the rights that everybody else has in this country. And we need to get over our kind of provincial and backward attitude toward immigration. And frankly, to working class people who do working class jobs. Their work is as essential as the word implies. And, it's time, if we're going to call them that, so we can say you have to go back to work, that essential means more than telling you have to go back to work. It means I'm going to treat you like you're essential. So I'm looking forward to changes at the state and federal level that will assist that. And we're going to continue to work with the community leaders and the nonprofits and the small businesses to engage with the county to help us target improvements to the diverse communities. So when we start talking about hubs, we're going to be looking to this community to talk about, what are important things to try to bring out on a more localized basis. Obviously, I can't replicate the government at every location in Montgomery County. That would add a lot of administrative cost, which would take money away from program delivery. But there are certainly things we can do with personnel we have to make sure that we are closer in touch and in better communication with the folks out in the community. And I will stop there and again, just say thank you very much. You have been amazing partners for the last year, and I'm looking forward to this year.
Carolyn, am I up?
You are spotlighted. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Marc. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marc, for being such a great partner. Thank you, Vice President Albornoz, for being here as well, and Carolyn. And thanks to all the leadership of Nonprofit Montgomery, the Nonprofit Village, the Women's Business Center, and all of you who are involved in our nonprofit sector and are here this morning for being such great partners with the county government. My name's Tom Hucker. I'm currently the council president of the president of the Montgomery County Council. I want to just say at the beginning, we're so lucky to have such an incredibly diverse and successful and effective array of nonprofit organizations serving our residents in Montgomery County. We're the envy of other counties in that regard. You all not only deliver such vital services in such an effective and efficient way to so many of our residents that need them the most, but you are such a major sector of our economy and responsible for so much of our economic development and our jobs. Protecting the work you do so you can help us protect our quality of life as a whole, and particularly our most vulnerable residents in this really difficult time, is really critical to us, and it's really top of mind, as you've heard from the county executive, and I know from me and Gabe as well. Before I was elected into public office, I founded and ran a nonprofit for many years and served on boards of other ones, so I really appreciate firsthand how difficult your jobs can be, raising money, balancing a budget, hiring and retaining staff, usually at a pay differential that isn't in your favor, and providing critical services for the public, particularly at times like these when funding is down and the needs are up. So I just want to say at the outset how much we appreciate you every year, but we really appreciate you this year, and we want to work in partnership with you to continue to keep you afloat, to help you thrive, and to help you continue to deliver great services for our residents that need them. We are living at an incredible time, notwithstanding all the events yesterday, which have been discussed and we'll continue to discuss, but we're in the greatest health crisis since the Spanish flu of 1918 and the worst economy since the Great Recession nearly 100 years ago. That's just breathtaking, and somehow we're living through it simultaneously. So there is a monumental amount of suffering across our state, across the country, and in Montgomery County in particular, as you all know, since you're on the front lines. 2021 will be an incredibly challenging year as well. We've been through so much, but unfortunately, the numbers would indicate the worst months are likely ahead of us, even though hopefully we can see the light at the end of the tunnel once the vaccines are distributed widely. But the next few months are really going to be critical, and the county budget, as Marc talked about, is under great strain. Our revenues are down by over 100 million, while our expenditures are up nearly 200 million because we have unmet need as far as the eye can see, and you all know that as well as anyone. I am, as grim as that news is, I don't mean to be entirely a downer. I am really inspired by what is not a surprise, but how Montgomery County residents have stepped up during this crisis as well. How many of you and your members and your donors have volunteered at food drives, volunteered at community clinics, passed out health information, helped to get the word out so that we could keep people safe and informed and housed and fed. But we are really under great strain as the county, as we put together the county budget for the coming year. And the insane thing is that we've had to fight this global pandemic with woefully inadequate leadership at the state level and a completely counterproductive leadership coming out of the White House. So I'm very proud of how the county council has stepped up, and the working closely with the county executive. We passed 30 different special appropriations to appropriate all the money we've gotten from the federal government and get it out there in hazard pay and food relief and rental assistance and eviction prevention and obviously lots of health protection. But we need much more help from the federal government and the state. And I don't want to spend time speculating about the federal government because we really can't do very much about it. And as Marc pointed out, even though we're going to have a Democratic controlled Senate, quote unquote, 50 to 50 doesn't give us much margin. It allows the most conservative Democrat to really determine what happens. And that is not a formula for success. So we really need to partner with you to get our state legislator and particularly the governor to provide us the relief that we need. Every time I've talked to the governor's staff in the last 6 months and asked for more state help and asked why we don't have the help coming that Virginia has had, that DC has had, that other states have had, they have said, well, don't worry about it. There's going to be help coming from the federal government. Now we know that there has not been help recently from the federal government because Mitch McConnell specifically stripped local aid out of the COVID relief package that just passed. So we really need your help calling on the governor to release the $1 billion, nearly $1 billion that are in the state rainy day fund, funds that were set aside and intended to address the needs of our residents during a rainy day. And this is the rainiest day since the Depression. The state is also sitting on $585 million in surplus that's unexpected, and it was outside of the fiscal year 2021 budget. They have $1.5 billion in cash that the governor is sitting on, and he inexplicably has not distributed that to local governments so we could put it on the street to keep people fed, to keep people housed, and to keep our small businesses, including our nonprofits, open. We have almost 250,000 households facing eviction as soon as that moratorium goes away. They are collectively $300 million behind on their rent. We have 100,000 people facing food insecurity in Montgomery County. We have 1 in 4 businesses who predict in a survey that they are likely to close in the next 6 months. It's crazy that we're allowing that much human pain and financial risk out there when the state has $1.5 billion in cash that it's sitting on. So that's why I pulled together Senator Cardin and the Treasurer Kopp and Comptroller Francho and my counterparts in the 4 or 5 largest counties around the state, along with a lot of nonprofits and small businesses before the holidays to call on the governor to release the rainy day fund and the surplus. And you can help us by signing the petition that's in the chat, and it's at mdreliefnow.com. Thousands of people have signed it. We are continuing to advocate to have the General Assembly, now that they're going back in session. Marc and I just got finished speaking to the Montgomery delegation just a few minutes ago. We are asking them to continue to push the governor to release those funds, which is budget neutral. This is not a new tax increase or anything difficult. This is budget neutral. This is money that was set aside to provide human scale relief. And for some reason, the governor hasn't released any of this. He's always pointed to the federal government, and we know now that they're not going to ride to the rescue. So please sign the petition. There's an organizational sign up as well. Please share it. And we're going to have another event on Sunday to continue to call. And please, there will be details coming out about that on the website, but please sign up for that as well, because we'd like to have as many people participate as possible. We have Senator Van Hollen, the NAACP, CASA, food relief providers, nonprofits of every stripe, lots of small businesses as well, all participating 2 weeks ago and participating this coming Sunday. So I put my cell phone, my office number, and my email in the chat. Please stay in close touch with me and let us know any ways that we can be helpful, because if you all don't succeed, we can't succeed as a county. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll jump in. I know that we are, you have a packed agenda, and I want to thank Tom and Marc for doing such a great job of covering so many bases. And I also want to thank Carolyn, you, for putting this webinar together and your continued leadership from the County Central staff. And want to begin by thanking all of our community-based organizations and organizers in our nonprofit sector. I've shared this with many of you, but it was an experience professionally working for a nonprofit in Mexico City that inspired me to seek a career in public service and public office. And I know firsthand the challenges that come with operating small businesses, on top of trying to diversify funding sources through a number of different means, the challenges of managing contracts, the challenges of managing staff, and of course, the clients and the residents that you serve. This year has been extraordinary. At various points, if I'm being candid, I have felt overwhelmed, exhausted, angry, tired, but the purveying feeling that I have felt over this last year is optimism. And I'm going to get to why in a second. But it goes without saying that I certainly felt all of those emotions yesterday afternoon and last night and again this morning. But what I have seen over the last year from all of you and from the incredible leaders in our public sector through the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Libraries, the Department of Recreation, so many incredible public servants who have tirelessly and around the clock put themselves and their families at risk to continue to serve our public. You haven't slowed down. You have innovated. You have met boundaries and barriers directly on. You have figured out how to get around them. You have innovated as community-based organizations in the nonprofit sector. You have taken advantage of some of the new technology that has really moved us forward in so many different ways. You have been there to comfort our residents in their greatest hour of need. And that need is crushing. We have seen an overwhelming test of the safety net that we have put together and over generations have built here in Montgomery County. Things like the Food Security Council, our Arts and Humanities Council, these organizing infrastructures have done an impressive job of doing their best to hold the line to ensure that as few people as possible slip through the cracks. And if anything, thrive and actually grow stronger despite of the immense challenges that we face. And we know that there are a number of challenges on the horizon, but I want to get to that feeling of optimism. There, I think, is clear evidence that 2021 is going to be infinitely better than 2020. I have seen our philanthropic community step up in really impressive ways. I have seen national philanthropies that are starting to target more local giving. And I also have seen us being willing to tackle systems that have led to the challenges that all of you face every day in a way that is comprehensive and sustainable, and I think is truly going to make a difference. And so this is actually an opportunity for us as a community and as a community of providers to think big, to think systemically, to think beyond the challenges that we face every day in trying to serve our clients so that we can more holistically work together, both as a government and a nonprofit sector, but our private sector as well. The table has been set, and I am committed to, and so are all of my colleagues, in making sure that we take advantage of this moment so that we address some of those systemic issues, whether it be in healthcare or in so many different areas that have plagued our community and our country for generations. And so I do feel optimistic that we're going to tackle these challenges. When you think about this federal government, if I really think about it, I learned more from bad bosses than I did good bosses. And we've had very poor leadership right now at the federal level. We've now seen what not to do. And I think that we can ride this wave to ensure and make, as we disseminate the vaccine, as we work on recovery, we know what needs to be done. And so I am lastly optimistic, frankly, because of all of you. You are all friends. My heart will always be firmly in our nonprofit community because I know the selfless work and the incredible and extraordinary commitment that all of you make every day. And so we are here to support. We are here to help problem solve with all of you. We will do whatever we can to ensure that you are able to carry out your work in the way that we are going to especially need you to carry out in this upcoming year. So muchas gracias to all of you for your continued commitment. Our office is always open. And as chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, please do not be reluctant to share some of those systemic issues with us. We know that the mental health issues of our community are profound and deep and cut across all socioeconomic levels. And frankly, sometimes I'm worried about the mental health of all of you and your staffs as well, because we have to take care of the people who take care of our community. And so don't be bashful and shy about sharing how we can support you and your work. We're going to do everything that we can. And finally, I'll end with this. We are going to have a change in transition in leadership in 2 weeks. It is going to make a profound difference, but we know it's not the end all be all. We can't rely on our federal government to solve the challenges that we have here in our community, and we can't rely on the state either. We have to continue to rely on ourselves, and I know we will. So thank you all for all that you do, and I look forward to continuing our work together in the upcoming year. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Council Vice President Albornoz and County Executive Marc. I believe you are still on. Yes, awesome. Okay, great. Except you're muted, so let's figure that out. Okay, great. I
do have to get off because
yes.
I have to do
Yes, wanted to make sure you guys knew you do not need to stay on for the rest of the webinar. And we do want to just thank you so much for
doing this.
for coming this morning. Yeah, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Virtually. Awesome. Can all of our other panelists turn on their microphones and their video now? All right. Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
So
everyone.
what we'll be doing, and we are going to be fast and furious because we do want to respect everyone's time, but we did know that was going to go longer than we thought. So what we wanted to do, and this is not comprehensive whatsoever, we wanted to just invite the agencies and partners that are funded by your county government to provide services to you. And we wanted to make sure you had a face to the name and an idea of the services that we are expanded and continue to fund and expand this year as well. So I'm going to throw it out to Susan. You got 60 seconds.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Susan Jenkins, and I'm the CEO of the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County. If you don't know, the Arts and Humanities Council is the designated local arts agency for Montgomery County. And by legislation, we receive funding from the county and distribute it to grant seekers all across the county. So if you're not familiar with the Arts and Humanities Council, I encourage you to go to our website. That's www, and I'll put it in the chat right now, creativemoco.com. And we have all types of resources for you there. Not only will you find resources that you'll be able to find as far as grants that are available to you, but you'll also be able to find resources that talk about other coronavirus CARES Act funding, other funding that is available to you through the arts. And my staff is also, we have been working remotely since March, but my staff is available to you. So don't hesitate to contact us by email. We have been working remotely, so we're not in our office, but don't hesitate to contact us by email. We'll try to be as responsive as possible. Let me just say a word quickly about the COVID relief grants that we did distribute earlier, late last year and earlier in the year. And for any of you who received funding from us, please just know that no funding is expected to be returned to the Arts and Humanities Council. I got a very, very earnest email over the holiday from someone saying, oh my goodness, I don't think I used all the funding. How do I return it to you? No COVID relief funds are to be returned. Keep them. Pay your rent, pay your gas, pay your light bill, do whatever is necessary. But more than anything, just contact us. You'll find our contact information on the web, and I'll put mine there too, and let us know how we can help you. Thanks, Carolyn, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Susan. All right, we're going to move on to Leslie McDonald of Nonprofit Montgomery. I'm going to spotlight you right now.
Morning, everyone, and thanks for asking me to be here today, Carolyn. It was really encouraging to hear from our county leaders, and that's certainly been my experience, that their support and collaboration and partnership with the county, which is really important for our work as nonprofits. So I'm Leslie McDonald. I'm the Executive Director of Nonprofit Montgomery, and we are the alliance of nonprofits that serve Montgomery County. We're a membership organization, but we really exist to strengthen the nonprofit sector and to advocate on behalf of nonprofits and the people that you serve. And so that means budget advocacy, it means policy advocacy. We're constantly working behind the scenes to get answers for nonprofits and to make sure that nonprofit views are heard when decisions are made at the county and other levels. I really encourage you to check out our website, and I'll put it in the chat. We offer extensive capacity building programs. They're super reasonable due to our partnership with the county. We specialize in financial management, metrics and outcomes, and board. We're doing a lot of board work in the coming years. So there's lots of opportunities to connect with your peers, to learn from experts, to learn from each other. We convene as much as possible. And I wanted to mention in particular, do sign up for our e-news. Right now we're doing it weekly. There's jobs, funding, resources, all different kinds of opportunities that you can find in our weekly e-news. So please check us out, and we're here to help you. That is part of our deal with Montgomery County, that we're here to support nonprofits. So do reach out and let us know how we can help. 2 quick dates I wanted to mention. We're convening 2 important conversations in the next couple of weeks. On the 13th, we're having Senator Van Hollen come on our bi-monthly Zoom with nonprofits to talk about what's going on at the federal level and what we can expect. And then on the 22nd, we're hosting Dr. Crowell from DHHS, who is going to talk to us about vaccines and the budget as far as DHHS is concerned. So please do join us for those conversations, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to highlight Nonprofit Village next, and we have a double your pleasure whammy here for you. Is that a word? Is that a saying? I don't know, but we've got Kim and Tom from Nonprofit Village. You're on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start and then let Tom add in some other things. Good morning and Happy New Year. I'm Kim Jones with the Nonprofit Village. We are a capacity building and professional support services nonprofit organization. We work along with the other partners that you see here and others around the region, as well as the county and corporations, to provide training, coaching, some select mini grant programs, and consultant referrals. We also provide some discounts on professional services. So those are available periodically. And we're really working to ensure that nonprofits are sustainable, and we try to create opportunities for collaboration. I think I missed that. We also provide the affordable and professional office and meeting space. So there's specific programs I think Tom may want to mention, and some other activities, but you can go to our website and we'll put it in the chat to also see the activities and the programs that other organizations offer, like Nonprofit Montgomery and others around the region.
Thanks, Kim, and good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Colling, Deputy Director at the Nonprofit Village. In addition to what Kim mentioned, I'll just say some specific programs that we have coming up. So they include a program on proposal writing, a founder transition program, a technology and cybersecurity toolkit program, which will involve adding some content that you can access at your convenience, as well as some coaching on those topics. We also have an incubator program, which is called SOAR, and that covers a comprehensive range of management areas running from strategic planning, from fundraising, financial management, marketing communications, so kind of the whole range of management areas you would need to know about as a new or startup nonprofit. We also provide a range of resources and connections to help our nonprofits however we can. So if you ever wanted advice on some of the emergency funding programs that are available at county or state or even federal level, or looking for a new bookkeeper, or if there's ever anything else you think we might be able to help with, please do get in touch. As Kim said, we'll put the website in the chat. So thank you, and thank you, Carolyn, for your partnership. Your support means a lot to us, so thank you.
No, thank you so much. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get rid of you guys from my screen. Thanks. And last but not least, we have Collaboration Council, Shanae.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation, Carolyn, and thank you to my co-laborers, from the panelists to all of the attendees. I'm Shanae Tate with Montgomery County Collaboration Council for Children, Youth, and Families. We serve as the local designated local management board here for the county, working in partnership with the county government to support the well-being of children, youth, and families, in partnership with all of our public agencies and all of you good folks on this call. A lot of our work really supports with convening you, supporting you, expanding your capacity, helping the county coordinate partnerships with you, be it through contracts, through innovations and initiatives. We love to bring all of the parties that are concerned about the well-being of children, youth, and families to the table, and to support the strength of those partnerships. Some of the things that we're working on right now that we're really happy about to partner with the county to bring to you as partnerships are, thank you to Council Member Albornoz and his foresight around promoting more access to quality youth sports. So we just released an initiative, the Youth Sports Initiative, to support youth sports organizations in expanding to areas where there may have been a dearth of access. So we'll be supporting the county's initiatives and priorities around that, as well as working, County Executive mentioned hubs and bringing a more localized approach to supporting our communities here in the county. We will be working with the county to establish more youth support and engagement hubs that bring local access to mentoring, out of school time supports, and family engagement and wraparound supports, especially during this crucial time. Really looking to branch out some of the things that we were able to do with Excel Beyond the Bell in partnership with our county's agencies and CPS and the Recreation Department, and bring bring it closer to where the young people are. So please stay engaged with us. I'm going to put our email address as well as our Facebook to keep abreast of all of the initiatives that we may be working on. We will need your partnership, we will need your innovations, we will need your hands, and we will need to support you as you move the work to support children, youth, and families forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Again, trying to figure out how, okay, now you're off my screen. You guys are off the hook, all done. So you can jump off or stay on, up to you. Next up, it is Raphael and I. We are the closing tag team. Here we go. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
You're awake? I'm going to do a really quick poll, just 3 questions before we give an update on grants, if that's all right. So if everyone could just, I'm calling it pulse poll number 1. Just want to get an idea. These are just random questions every time we talk to you. We want to just get an idea of where everybody is and what they know. Let me know when you guys have started voting. Okay, so while you guys are doing that, okay, great. Oh, you guys are going fast. Basically, you guys are seeing in real time what we want to do for 2021. We want to be more proactive and less reactive to the changing fiscal and public health environment. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to kick this off early and get all your elected officials up and about in the morning to welcome you to New Year. Actually, 70% have voted, so I'm still going to wait, but I will kick it over to Raphael. We'll give a very brief direction kind of on where we're going with our fiscal budget and also where you can get more information. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So as the county executive said, and I think was echoed by the county council members, is we're in a very difficult fiscal situation in the county. There has been, because of COVID, there's been a lot of economic impacts. We had been hoping that the federal government would provide aid. That has not been provided. So that's created a huge gap in our budget. And so as the county executive said, the goal is to maintain all FY21 funding levels for the current programs. And it's going to be a challenge to do that. We're still not sure if we can do that, but that is the goal that we're sticking to. So there's a much more detailed conversation on this. Leslie McDonald hosted me at Nonprofit Montgomery a few weeks ago, and I gave a more detailed presentation on this. I encourage you to visit Nonprofit Montgomery, check out the recorded video. I believe my slides are posted there as well, and you can see a lot of resources kind of outlining the challenges that the county has, and then our way forward. So as the county executive said, for the FY22 process, there's really not a process. If you got money in FY21, we're going to try to maintain that. Again, because that is a challenge, we're not going to be able to look at new programs or new initiatives. But if you did get money in FY21 and you've had to be flexible with your programs, we want to support that flexibility. And going into FY22, if you want to make tweaks with the same amount of money to how you're delivering services or even what your services are, the county government is very open to that. But it's just simply a challenge. It's going to be a challenge to hold what we have. So I encourage you to go check out Nonprofit Montgomery's page and the recorded presentation that I give, where it's much more detailed information, and that has links to a council hearing outlining the fiscal situation in the county. In terms of my overall role, just one thing about me is I'm more of the process person. I work behind the scenes making the process work. I do a lot of the technical budget work. So if you ever have questions on how the process works, how the legislation works, how the budget works, feel free to hit me up via email or a call, and I'm happy to answer all your questions so it's clear for you where we are, what we're doing, and what things look like going forward. I can't answer a lot always the political questions, but I can give you a sense of where things are and where things are moving. One thing about my background I like to emphasize is I was a director of a nonprofit for 6 years. So I know what you guys are going through. I know the challenges that you face. I know the difficulties that you face as nonprofit leaders. And I tried to be the voice for you guys behind the scenes in the government, kind of providing that nonprofit perspective. So it is helpful for me to hear from you guys how things are going, what challenges you have, what issues you have with the county process. And it helps me advocate behind the scenes for you guys to make the process easier, to streamline things for you so that nonprofit voices and challenges are heard on the administrative level. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't answering chats. 78% of you have voted, and I'll show you the results now. All right. So this is our poll number 1, and we wanted to just throw out random questions to you, see if you could answer them. First, do you use Info Montgomery to search for county resources and services? Yes, no, and what's Info Montgomery? Awesome. Greatly spread about that. It's actually a website. We will put it in the chat, but there are discussions on how to update it and how to better leverage that website. Next, has your nonprofit organization, small business, community leader received funding support from the county in 2020? 80% of you say yes, 15 no, and 5% don't know. So that is what we thought, that when we have a kickoff webinar, it's going to be mostly organizations that have been funded in the past, as opposed to new organizations or new programs or new community leaders. So that is very helpful for us to get that idea of the, roughly 350 that registered. And last question, do you know organizations or people from Aspen Hill, Lay Hill, Wheaton, Colesville, Montgomery Village, Damascus, or Poolville that are not on this kickoff webinar? 18% yes, no 82. That is also not surprising because after a quick analysis of our registration zip codes, we know that about, and I actually mapped zip codes by COVID, number of COVID cases ranked in the state and also the county. And we have in the top 10 zip code cases of COVID cases, only 25% of the registrants and attendees today are from those areas. So we know we have to do a better job of reaching the communities that are affected the most. So thank you for this. You guys passed. I'm going to stop sharing the results. And then in the last, I guess we just have the last couple of minutes. Oh, you guys can stay on and we can still answer questions, but right, like a minute.
There's a number of questions in the chat.
Okay, okay. Should we start off with the big one? I can start with the big one, which is the main question. And we read all your questions that you submitted. Thank you so much. We will summarize all this information and send it out. Yes, so community grants funding is different than all the other COVID funding. So that you've been seeing this past year. So it's a little confusing because a lot confusing because we have so many people on this call. So the community grants is a separate program that, for those of you that know, we've been reforming the process in the last couple of years, and we've gotten to this point where this year we are the county departments are reviewing the community grant contracts. So we call this like the legacy contracts, the ones about the 200, 300 that have been funded for multiple years, year in and out. They are reviewing them to be another shift into the base budget if needed, and if the service priorities have changed for the year, because 2020 was crazy. And additionally, we are not funding increases for any of these community grants contracts or inflation increases or the administrative fee. There'll be no increases from the last fiscal year or current funding level. That's where we are. To get that is tough. So we're going to just hold steady on that. And I'm glad to hear, we've got everybody on board, Marc, Tom, and Gabe as well. In terms of new programs and new funding, which is the big question. So this is new organizations, nonprofit organizations that have not received funding in the past, might have applied or might not have applied, as well as current organizations that have contracts that are launching new programs, right? We received 119 applications of new organizations and programs last year. We did not fund any of them, so we had $0. But they're still active and they were reviewed. So what we're trying to do is to add to this database of new programs and applications rolling just throughout the year, so that if by chance there's additional funding from the county, again, it wouldn't come from community grants budget, it would come from COVID relief funds or any other additional rounds of state or federal funds that the county will receive, or if we're able to source outside funding outside of public sector funds, we want to be able to leverage that as well. So I'm just going to say that one more time. Was that clear? I'm not sure. So if you have a current contract with the county under community grants, you will be automatically renewed without an application. There will be no increases. There will be no expansion of funding levels. If you have not been funded or applied last year, your application is still active, meaning it was reviewed. We did not have any additional funds to give out. We have no additional funds to give out this year. County funds, county operational budget funds. But we will continue to exhaust the relief funds that have come from the feds and the state. And those are the programs that you see that are popping up that we send out, like the Youth Sports Initiative. We used funds to expand Nonprofit Village and Nonprofit Montgomery's technical services. I'm talking about, so fiscal year 21. So this upcoming, this upcoming year, it's confusing. Contracts that would start on July 1st. Okay. Yes. Capital grants. Absolutely no capital grant funding, additional capital grant funding outside of the amounts that we had committed on a multi-year basis for arts capital grants last year. That's basically the big one. Don't want to waste any more time. How are you guys feeling? Okay, there's no application for renewals of your contracts. There's no application for renewals of your contracts. All you will need to do is make sure, one, you registered for this webinar. So we have your info. We'll send information out to you. And for those of you that don't know, we engage directly. So through email, setting up one-on-one meetings with myself, 20 minutes to discuss your program or introduce you to other resources that maybe you didn't know about. That will be ongoing. Yes, and Susan Jenkins wanted me to not forget that the reason why I invited her on the panel was to be clear that like arts organizations, so organizations that have a mission related to arts and humanities, as well as artists and scholars, that is all run through the Arts and Humanities Councils. It is funded as a portfolio. So while this webinar was open to everybody, it was to make sure we all had the same information, that we released, $3.6 million in arts funding to arts organizations and artists and scholars. That was relief funding from the feds, and we will continue to do that through the Arts and Humanities Council.
Can I just add to this a little bit, Carolyn?
Yeah.
In terms of FY21, getting FY21 programs renewed for FY22, again, there's no application, but I would say just check in with your contract monitor and just make sure that they have everything from you, or like everything is up to date. I mean, it's not applying or anything like that, but just check in with your contract monitor and say, hey, I understand there's not a process. Am I missing anything? Or is there outstanding reporting that you need from me? Do you have any questions about my program? Again, with the nonprofit Montgomery presentation that I did a week or so ago, we did talk about, the departments are going to be making their recommendations. And so it's good to make sure that your contract monitors have all the information they need. So again, it's not an application, but just give them a call, send them an email and check in, say, hey, do you have everything you need from me? Is there anything that you additionally need to know about my program? Maybe let them know if you are considering changes to like how you're delivering your program because of COVID. So I think that's going to be helpful, but that's it. That's really all we're asking from you. But even just check in with the contract monitor. Okay, and then I've been trying to answer some of the other questions in the chat that Carolyn has answered. Some of her getting In terms of timeline, when we're going to know the answers. So again, the way the process works is on March 15th, the county executive provides his recommended budget. And again, that's his recommended budget. It's not the final thing. Within that big 400, 500 page document, there's going to be a couple pages outlining all the community grants that he is recommending will be funded in FY22. And that's where the first time that you'll get to see whether your program is going to be moving forward or not. And so what I'll be doing, or Carolyn will be doing, is we'll be posting a list of the CE's recommended community grants budgets, and at what organizations, what programs, and at what funding level. So that'll be something to keep your eyes out for. I'll be posting that on the Fluid Review platform, and so you'll be able to see that list there. People know where that is, so that's a good place. And we'll probably post it some other places as well, share with some of the other organizations who've been here. Again, that's the recommended budget. So the county council, like last year, the county council did make changes and they did add funding for other programs. So if you're not on the CE's list and you did receive funding in FY21, there may be opportunities to get that money back, but that's really council's discretion. But as the county executive said, if we have to make program cuts to the community grants portfolio, it means the county's in pretty dire financial situation. So March 15th is a date to look out for when we'll be distributing that list. And then there'll be another chance for that list to be amended through the county council in their decision.
All right. Raphael and I will stay on to answer questions in chat, but I just wanted to be cognizant of time and do an official thank you and closing for sticking with us this last hour. This is just the first of, we hope, many, and every time we log on again with different people to introduce to you and take another pulse poll survey, we'll get more information and get closer to the demographic of audience that we are trying to target. So thank you for all of your help. Last year sucked, and I'm really grateful that we made it. I think that was the best part of your registration question and comments, was like your best practice and your best win was like, we're still standing. It's like January 1st and we're still standing. Yes, I can give an update on the Office of Grants Management. I just wanted to thank everybody. And if you need to hop off, everything will be summarized and sent to you. I can put it in a document for you. Okay, cool. Great. Raphael, should we run through questions or?
Sure, I'm just doing some of those technical ones in the chat.
Okay, cool.
So one is, do you have an update in the Office of Grants Management? Do you want to take that away?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, I'm just going to close this. I'm going to be distracted. So for those of you that are new, the Office of Grants Management was part of our 3-year reform of the grants process to provide a central administrative location for a nonprofit or a community leader, for anyone to just walk in somewhere. We're not doing that anymore. Call someone and say, hey, how do I get a grant, right? We wanted a central place that was just compiling information. You could find out where all the county grants are. You could apply to all of them at one time. You didn't have to go to 10 different websites and then have 10 different applications, even though you're applying for the same source of funds. We introduced legislation last December to create an Office of Grants Management in the county executive branch. We had a public hearing on it and never got to the work session due to COVID. So we will be rescheduling that until after budget of this year. So I'm aiming for June of this year for a work session. We're okay on timing on that because in our legislation, we had said that we wanted, if there was no COVID, we would open July 1st, 2021. So we weren't late on that, but I think we're definitely going to be pushing that back a year. But in the meantime, what I've talked to many of you about this is that we're still running full steam ahead in sourcing outside funding. So for example, and this is not just outside funding for each individual organization, but for departments. Like for example, the Board of Elections, we applied for a fund for money from the Zuckerberg Foundation for a fair election. We got $800,000 for the Board of Elections. Additionally, we also applied and received $26,000 from the National Park Service for the Planning Department to execute an ethnography, an Asian American ethnography of Montgomery County since 1796 or something like that. So we will keep going and sourcing outside funds to increase the capacity of departments, which then increases the number of contracts that they can enter in with nonprofits. Does that make sense? I keep thinking someone's going to talk to me, but they're not. All right, awesome.
So there's been questions about reporting. So
Okay.
every year, or in past years, there's been a mid-year report and the final report that we collected through Fluid Review attached to your applications. And then you would have to do this other reporting that's required through your contract that went directly to your departments. This year, there's no mid-year report. There's no final report that we collect through Fluid Review. So you don't have to worry about that. We decided it was better. Again, this gets to making things easier for you. The only reporting we need is whatever reporting is required by your contract. So look at your individual contract with the county, talk to your contract monitor and see what type of reporting is required. But we're not going to be doing any more of the separate reporting where you submit one set of reports to your contract monitor and then you submit a different mid-year and final report through Fluid Review. That's done. And I don't think moving forward in future years, we're going to be doing that either. So if you have questions about reporting, just talk to your contract monitor or look at your contract and see what's there, because that's it. There's not going to be anything through Fluid Review. So I'm looking through again some of these questions.
Keep going. I'm just going to answer.
Okay. Some of these are very, very program specific. So we might, or individual program specific. So we might have to get back to you individually. There's several different questions again about new funding or additional programming. It's just, again, due to the challenges this year of even just keeping things the same while the rest of the county budget is being slashed. There's not going to be bandwidth for additional programs or additional money for existing programs. Unless, as Carolyn talked about, unless there's special appropriations like the youth sports initiative or other types of initiatives, that's really where the extra funding is going to be coming from this year, if there's even that as possible. So unfortunately, just keeping things stable is going to be hard enough for us.
Has anyone lost audio? Can you hear us, James Montgomery? Awesome. Almost through. How can we participate in delivering? Okay. This is through HHS and the. Yes. All right, I answered all the ones in the question and answer. How about the chat? Maybe we did it.
The chat's moving pretty fast, so I might have missed some questions.
Oh, I've got a question here on arts capital grants. Let me just address this really quickly. So there was an original question in the chat about capital grants. So usually we had, and we changed this process as well last year, we had a capital grant application and we reviewed those in its entirety. Community grants, meaning nonprofit organizations that provide health and human services. We accepted capital grant applications for that, and as well as arts and humanities grants. And we honored those for this upcoming year and as well as the next I think 3 fiscal years for our organizations for multi-year projects. In terms of additional funding for community grant organizations, meaning health and human service organizations, there's no funding for capital grants at this time from the operating budget. Additional arts and humanities, capital grant funding from the operating budget, no funding. So what happens next? If we are following very closely, of course we're following closely the status of the state bond bills for where the state provides capital funds to Montgomery County organizations. So we're following that. We will know who and if they even send out, issue the bond and when that's required. Just so you know, county match is not required from a state bond bill. It is discretionary for the county, and that's why we have a specific process to prioritize. So we do not have any expectation at this time to have a process to have county match funds for state bond bills. That doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't other funding for that, or that some of those projects, because you are a particular entity that is managed under our Department of General Services, DGS, that's going through a huge inventory right now of all of our county assets and owned buildings in for this upcoming fiscal year. That would be a discussion with the Department of General Services, with their budget and their priorities on their capital projects.
And I just posted in the chat the YouTube link to the nonprofit Montgomery presentation on December 16th. So if you want to get a more detailed discussion of community grants and the fiscal outlook for the county, that's a good presentation to watch. Council President Hucker also is speaking there, and he gives also kind of an overview of the county's fiscal situation. And not much has really changed since that presentation. So.
Awesome. I think we might have done it.
One question about community services grants and
oh, good. That's good.
Purchased. That's a good question for your contract monitor. And again, like those types of detailed questions, I think they're the ones who are best aware of the regulations and what's possible, what's not possible. In general, the county executive is giving guidance to departments that be as flexible as possible with community grants recipients, so that your programs, so if the program that you designed before COVID is impossible with COVID, and you have an idea how you can move forward or how you can serve the community in a different way, again, they've been given the guidance that they should be as flexible as possible with you. So touch base through the contract monitor and see, what needs to be done. There are ways to amend contracts and there are ways to change contracts, but that can be a long process. But if it's a better way for you to use the money, then I think that's something we're just going to do and help support you through that change process.
Raphael, your link went to panelists only. So if you want to send it to attendees.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. All right, 135 people that have stayed on to the very end. Thank you. Thank you. 134. Thank you so much. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Carolyn and Raphael.
Again.
And all of my colleagues in the nonprofit sector. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yay.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for inviting us to be here today.
Yeah, we're just gonna stay on until everyone kind of logs off. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Great day.
Thank you. Be well, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.